Hi, I'm Kelly from Kelly Jones Jewellery. Today I'm going to be showing you how to make this pendant. I've put a list in the description below of everything you'll need to make this, so let's get started. So feel free to go up or down a size on these recommended gauges. So to make this pendant you'll need 1.2mm wire. I've cut one length at 6 inches, which is 15 centimetres. You'll need 0.8mm. You can use square or round wire, so that's 20 to go for 21 gauge. You'll need 2 lengths at 8 inches, that's 21 centimetres, and 2 lengths at 4 inches, which is 11 centimetres. You'll need 21 gauge half round wire, 1 length at 3 inches, which is 8 centimetres. You'll need 0.315mm weaving wire, 150 centimetres, and I wind mine onto a bobbin by Bobby's bobbin, and you'll need an 8mm bead and 2 3mm beads. The tools I use they're all Tronex, and they're all listed in the description below: pliers, round nose pliers, wire cutters, and nylon pliers. And if you don't have nylon pliers, don't worry, I always like to have these handy for straightening wires and flattening weaves. So we're going to start with the frame wire, and I really want you to take your time shaping the frame wire because it plays quite an important part. So this want a nice circular shape. Now you can wrap around something if you want to. It's a lip balm, anything you can grab hold of. I've got something a bit more professional than a lip balm, one of these bobbins. Now you can buy these, I think in America you can buy these from anywhere. I bought this as a ring mandrel, so it comes in lots of different sizes, but it's just a round bit of wood that you can shape your wire around, and then you know you're going to have a nice circular shape. And if you want to do earrings, you know they're both going to be the same size. So take your wire and make it into a circle shape. You can also, if you've got like, mine is 25mm, if you've got a stone, you can always move it to a flat surface and take it around the stone. You just want sort of a nice circular shape that comes to a point like that. You can shape it with your fingers if you want to, or just find it a bit more circular. You take it around something instead. You can see my tops are quite straight, so I'm just going to round those a little bit. Yeah, so this is quite an important part the frame is on this one, so we're going to really take our time and do most of this tutorial is just making the frame nice. So there we have it. So now we need to bend the wires up at the top. So I'm just going to grip it with some bail pliers and give it a wiggle. So we're bending the wires out at the top there. So now you've got your beginning shape. We're going to measure from the middle of the bend there, and we want about 2 centimetres. So we're going to cut this wire at the 2 centimetre mark, but we're going to cut it at this angle. And then we're going to file it, but we're going to do the same to the other side as well. So again, starting at the middle, you want to go 2 centimetres, and we're going to cut it as if it's going flat. I need to cut my tape then. So straight across there. So we've got flat tops, and we're going to file that. So I didn't mention, you don't have to file it if you don't want to, but a little bit of fine sandpaper or a nail file. We need to take that sharp edge off. So I filed those ends, so I've got nice finished ends to my wire. Of course you don't have to do that if you don't want to. Next we're going to curl these ends I want lovely big curls that match each other on each side. So I'm going to be using the second size to smallest on here. Is that wise? Just having a little debate with myself. So we're going to grab the tip of the wire and we're going to bend it around. And we're going to try and match that up on the other side so we've got the same curl. So it comes in and it meets in the middle. That's the plan. Roughly the same. I'll make this one a little bit bigger. So adjust it until you're happy, but we want to the same at the top. Make sure it's all nice and even, because you can adjust them the height still, because we haven't attached them. So now if you have a hammer and a block, which again I didn't mention at the beginning, so I shall have to write it on the screen. Not doing very well, am I, today? I'm going to hammer this just to give it that nice flat look, something a bit extra. You don't have to if you don't want to, but if you've got hammer and block, go and give it a hammer. I shall meet you back here. So I've hammered mine. As you can see, I've hammered the tops mostly. I've left the bottom there quite round. It does misshape it a little bit when you hammer it, so if yours is misshaped too much, reshape it, get your pliers back in there and get the shapes right. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to file them. So I'm going to sand all these hammer marks off the surface. I can see them. I don't know if you can see them in that light. It's all covered in little nicks and scratches, and I'm going to file all that flat with my nail buffer. So I've filed mine to get it all nice and shiny. Now I need to go and wash my hands. So if you want to make earrings, then you need to do exactly the same again. So you've got two the same. Use whatever you use to shape this to shape your other one. So you've got two identical ones. They're just identical. We're not having to mirror image anything today. Just the sides on this one, I suppose. So take your weaving wire. It's all pretty simple from now on. That was the hard bit. So you want this to be longer than your frame. And then we're going to wrap it around the frame a couple of times. So with that little wrap right at the bottom, bring both wires up. There's my cutters. And then cut the wire at the top there. And then we're going to do the same again, just to get your wires all the same length. Wrap around the frame a couple of times. It's so awkward doing this behind the camera. I'm going to have to adjust myself, I think. And then cut that off to be the same length. So where's my cutters gone? So you've got 4 wires coming up, all coming up to the same length, and they've attached at the bottom there. So looking at these wires at the bottom here where they wrap around our frame wire, we want them all to sit quite flat together at the bottom and quite tight together too, so give them a little squeeze. And we're going to pop a little bead on there. So now find out if your bead's going to fit. So you need to fit all 4 wires through the bead. I can't even find the hole. So you need to fit all 4 wires through that little bead hole. pull it all the way down to the bottom. Then you're going to pop your larger bead on there, and again you need to get all 4 wires through that hole. And then your little bead again, so we have to fit the other bead on. Got it. There we go. So get that nice and central. That's where your beads are going to be, at the bottom there. And we've got 4 wires coming up. My frame's opening up a bit. Oops. So I haven't attached, I'm going to attach the top together of the frame, but I haven't done it yet because it's easier now to do this bit with that open. We'll close it in a minute. So spread your wires out, whichever way they want to go. You want 2 on one side and 2 on the other. Got all these tools up my sleeves again. And we're going to attach them spread out like that. So try and keep this as central as you can. And we'll attach the wires around the frame. This is why I haven't tied the top together yet, but we will do that next. We'll wrap 3 times. We'll wrap 3 times on each one, or thereabouts. And then we'll cut those wires off and press them around with pliers. So give them a little pull to make sure they're nice and tight. And press them around with your pliers. On some others I made earlier, I finished them with the wires to the back, and I could not lose those little sharp bits on the back, so try and finish them on the front, because all this is going to be covered up with wires in just a moment. So make sure your beads are pushed right down and that your wires come out at the top of that bead there. So take your short length of half round wire, and we're just going to attach the frame together at the top there. So wrap the wire around. I've sort of positioned it centrally across the middle there, and then we're going to tie the 2 together at the top. So go around a few times. And just pulling that a bit so it's nice and tight around the middle there. And then you take the 1 wire around the one side a few times. And the other wire around the other side. And that will hold the top together. We need to cut those 2 wires so that they finish at the back. and then press down those cut ends with your pliers. So I'm presuming that you've cut all your wires to the lengths that I said already. So we're going to take one of the longer lengths of base wire. I can't remember how long they are, 8 inches. So take one of your 8-inch lengths of base wire. You can use round, but I'm going to use square for mine. And we want to find the centre point. So put the ends of that wire together. You can find the centre point of that wire. And we're going to pop it around the middle part at the top there. So we want that bit to stay there. We don't want to pull that through. So we're going to hold that one wire, send the other wire around. So we're attaching to the top there. Easier said than done. And you can always squeeze it around because that's quite tough on your fingers. So I normally cut the video and do all this while you can't see, but I'll show you how long it takes for me to do it normally compared to me just keep cutting it all off. So we want to get the wires to come around nicely so they finish next to each other. And then where they cross like that, you want to squeeze it right next to the frame so that those wires come next to each other. And then we'll bend that out to the side. So you've got both the wires attached and both the wires come out to the side. I'll use nylon pliers to straighten my wires, and it's good for handling the square wire because it tends to twist. And if you can use a nylon pliers, it doesn't just straighten it, but it flattens your square wire, if you know what I mean. Stops it from twisting. You untwist it, get it nice and flat. We're going to do that to the other side. We might as well do it now while we've got some room, because we can reshape these little weaving wires again in a minute. So I'm going to add the same on this side. So take another length of that base wire, add it to the other side. So I've attached that other wire exactly the same, and I've repositioned the weaving wire that moved. So I like to twist these square wires because I think it looks really pretty when you've got them next to each other. When we're going to shape them in a bit for the one to be twisted, I think it really adds to it. So I'm going to twist my 2 top wires. You can twist these any way you like. What I'm going to do, part them a little bit. I hold the end with my pliers, pull a little bit of tension on the where it's attached here, and you just twist. Hard to show you on the camera. We twist for about 20 seconds. So I've twisted both the top wires, and when you think you're done, give it another couple of twists. Gets it all nice and tight. Next we'll start with these 2 right hand wires. So I'm going to take the bottom one first, push it down at the base, and we're going to scoop the wire over. Crazy snoring her head off. I'm going to take this next wire, pushing that down a bit at the base too. I'm going to scoop this wire over. I'm going to do a bigger scoop on that one. So as you can see, my scoops have gone over that middle section, and if I'm going to do the same with the other 2 wires, we need to have a bit more room. So we really need to pull these wires over a bit. So I'm going to grab it at the base and pull it over to the right. And then I need to pull the wires down just so that they don't go across that middle section. They slid down a bit then, didn't they? So they don't go over that middle section. I'm going to do the same with the other side. The bottom wire first, pull it down a bit at the base, scoop it around, and bring it around to match the other side. Now the pain is that these wires keep sliding down. I'm not very good at handling the wire with my left hand. All these excuses. Where's my pliers gone? Then the other one has to come over. See, if you do it without thinking, then you grab it with your good hand. If you think about it too much, it all goes wrong. Bring that wire around, and you want to try and match up the heights with the other wire as you bring it around, so you're kind of matching up the sides. And then that's going to scoop out over this side. Now we need to just adjust those wires so that they all fit in that top little space there. So the 2 twisty wires come down together in the middle, and then the bare wires come to the sides. And we just need to adjust. My loop on this side is a little bit bigger, so I'm just going to fix that. So adjust your wires until you're happy with them, and then we'll attach them all together at the top there. So take your weaving wire and we'll attach to this twisted wire. So wrap a few times around to attach. Slide it along to be above where all the wires join. And then I think to start with, what we'll do is we'll just wrap around the middle 2 twisted wires. To go around just those middle 2 wires. That can be a bit of a challenge. Go around 3 times. So bring your wire underneath this bottom wire. By bottom wire I'm going 1, 2, 3, 4 on those, just the top base wires. So coming under this bottom wire, I'm going to go over the second, so I'm going around 2. I'll come up between them, over the middle 2 wires, coming up between them, and we're going over the next one, so we're going around the top 2 wires, coming up between the bottom 2, go around the middle 2 wires, coming up under this bottom wire over here again, go around these 2, bottom 2, coming up between, and we finish with a few wraps around that twisty wire again. We just need to push it all together. So we need to cut these weaving wires, pull them, sew them tight, cut them nice and short, and then press the little cut ends around with your pliers. So try and get it as central as you can in the middle there. And take these two wires and pull them out. And I'll take the plain flat square wire first, and we're going to bring it out obviously, and then we're going to scoop it around. So I'm going behind this one so it's out the way. Scoop it around. I can feel I've got a little dent in my wire there. Scoop it around so it comes in. And then this twisty one sort of goes out and it goes over that one to go around. So they both come down, the twisty one crosses over the plain one. And then at this point here, the plain one, the flat one, has to go through to the back. And I'm still holding that, so I'm holding the shape. And then we pull that wire through. So reshaping it a little as it goes through, and then pull it up the back. Twisty one comes around, sort of sits in that gap there, and then also goes through to the back. So post that through as well. And then we're going to try and do the same on the other side. The bead's going to keep moving around. We can just adjust it back when you notice it. So we start off, we'll just take this one. We're going to scoop it around, try and match up the shape to the other side. How does it go out? There, then it scoops around. And it goes in there. Is that about right? So I'm going to hold that there. Try and post that through. And reshape it as you pull it through. Then bring the twisted one over, scoop it around, so it comes in across the bottom of that shape there, and then we'll post that one through too. Looking at the shape as you bring the wire through. My one side's a bit higher, or as my bead just moved. I think my bead has moved. I hope it's just the beads moved. If you're unsure of what's straight, look at the back. The back never lies. You can see how wonky, truly wonky it is from the back. Now we're going to take both these wires We're going to bend them over to the front and scoop them down to the bottom. Same on this side, take these 2 wires, scoop them over to the front and then scoop them down to the bottom. So adjust those wires at the bottom so they all come together there and the bead is nice and central. And we'll just do a little weave across these wires just to hold it all together. Start with a few wraps around the second wire if we're looking at it from this angle. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. Slide that down. So we're gonna, as we tie these together, we'll pull them all together. So we'll go around these bottom 2 wires, come up between them. So we're basically doing the same as what we did up the top. Go around the middle 2 wires, come up between them. Go around the top 2 wires, come up between the bottom 2, go around the middle 2, come onto the bottom and go around the bottom 2 wires. We'll do that again. So everything's properly tied together. Push it all up, then make sure your wires haven't come off. Make sure they're all nice and central and push that up. So when you're happy with that, we'll finish with a few wraps around that second wire again. So then we'll cut that weaving wire at both ends and press the little cut ends down. So then we're going to take these wires over the frame. We're going to take the outer wires and we're going to take those around the frame so it secures all that bottom part in place. So just send them around the frame and pull them through. They're quite short, so it's hard to handle. Pull those bottom wires around and really squeeze them around the frame. And these middle 2 wires, I'm actually going to post them through to the front, each side of the bead. Now give them a pull. Might as well straighten them while I'm there. Pull them right down low, below that bottom bead. Cross them over. Scoop them around the bead. So we've brought the wires up around the stone, and then here above the stone we're going to bend them out. Now I'm going to suggest that your wires are a little bit longer than mine, so you've got more length on these bits and you'll have more wire to join then. What I'm going to do is I'm going to post these wires through and then join them into the gaps between there. So pull it forward so that when you bend it through you don't misshape it too much. Pop it through. Do we need to go through there? We need to go through there, don't we? So pop it through there. Twisted mine a little bit, got to bend it out to the side there. So it's going to go and join there on that side bit. Do the same with this one. Pull it forward, bend the top back, pop it through between those weaving wires, hold it in place, reshape it, and then bend it back up to that side there, trying not to twist it. When you're happy with those wires, we'll just bend them around the frame, around those pliers. Holding them in place the best you can. We go around the frame and then squeeze it around into place with your pliers. When you're happy with those wires, we just cut off the excess and press those around with pliers. Then you can either cut these off here and just wrap them around, or if you've got any wire left, and your wires should be longer than mine, you can bring it around nice and tight. Little shape on the bottom there. Take it between those wires and finish it off here, just to finish off the bottom there. Wrap it around the frame there. So that finishes it off quite nicely. Bring it around, try and match up the sides. Bring it around quite tightly. Take it across to follow. And then take it around there and match it up on that side too, wrapping around the frame. So I've bent both those wires around and they've gone around the frame. It's sort of where the twists are there on the side. Then at the back there isn't much room, so I'm just going to cut them off quite short and then press them around the frame into that little gap there. If you want to, you can now add a bunch of jump rings to the top, so you could put a jump ring on each side and attach it with another to finish at the top, or you can make this little add-on bail that I'm going to make now. So now take your two shorter lengths of, I'm using square, you can use whatever you like, so these are 4-inch lengths, and we're going to make that little like attachable bail for the top. So starting about 1 inch from the end, we're going to weave. So take your weaving wire and we'll attach by wrapping 3 times around that bottom wire. So we'll go around both wires twice, between those two wires, and we'll go around the top wire and around the bottom wire, and that's how we repeat. So you go around twice, come up between, go around the top wire, then around the bottom wire, and keep repeating that weave and keep pushing it together as you go. So I've kept repeating that weave, and you have to keep, especially on square wire, it's quite hard, you have to keep pushing it together as you go. Keep it nice and tidy. Finish off with a couple of wraps around one of the wires. So I've done 2 centimeters long. If you want a bigger bail, then you just do a longer weave, but really you only need a little one. Where's my pliers gone? Really you only need a little bail for this one, because you don't want it to take over the whole thing. So we've got 2 centimeters of weave. Where's my other? Got that much stuff around me. So then you need something round. So I'm using this size of my bail pliers. You can just bend it around with your fingers if you want to. You want to bring it around, and you want to take 2 wires inside and 2 wires out like that. You just want a little circle. Whoop. Just my little bail. So then what we're going to do is these 2 middle wires have to go around the outer wires to attach, so it all attaches together. So where's my cutters gone? So we're going to cut those off nice and short. And press them around. Not having much luck here. Press them around. The single wire. Okay, so I've put the wires down and they're attached and they're level, and these wires come down. So what I'm going to do is they're going to go into the top of that frame there. So as you can imagine, this bail is now at the wrong angle, so it's got to really bend like this, but we want it to be even. So take it off, have a look at it, get it nice and even, put it back on, and we will attach it around these wires. Sounds simple enough, but you want it to remain straight. You want it nice and straight and even, so as you bring your wires around, you got to make sure you're keeping it all nice and straight and even. So little movements and then check on it. Little movements and check on it some more. Then you want to cut those wires off. And wrap them around and press them into place. Now I just need to oxidise it. So there we have it, finished. I've oxidised mine. If you'd like help oxidising yours, I did a video on oxidising and aftercare. I'll put a link in the description below. So thanks for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye for now. Bye.